Howdy folks, my name's Darren Ray Fonso and I'm talking about injured workers or labor and industries as we call it here in the state of Washington, uh, or work comp as you call it across the nation. Today what I'm talking about is how I've reached out to seek help from a lot of my own liberal journalists from my side of the fence trying to get help for America's injured workers and a minimum federal oversight on the table that nobody seems to want to help us get on the table. And today's topic is Randi Rhodes. She's everybody. Some people may know her from as a progressive, one of the progressive mouthpieces out there that is trying to tell all of us that she's different and she don't take corporate money and blah blah blah. Yet she isn't calling out Kashmir Sawant or AOC or Senator Sanders on this need for minimum federal oversight for the injured workers of America. And so I wonder, Randi Rhodes, why not? When we have injured workers in the state of Florida committing suicide over your broken state work comp system, lady, that's in need of some minimum federal oversight. So I have reached out to Randi Rhodes on several occasions through her info page and all this kind of stuff. And today I was engaged with her on her live YouTube page. And as I was engaged in trying to comment, she was talking about the President Trump being impeached and whistleblowers. So I piped up and said, well, what about work comp whistleblowers? And everybody wanted to shoo me and they actually did. They temporarily banned me from being part of the conversation or something because they didn't want to get honest about work comp whistleblowers or how we're selective in which work comp whistleblowers the Democratic journalists choose to put forth and have their voices heard. So yeah, it's really upsetting to me as an injured worker in America today when I have reached out to people like Randi Rhodes to get our voices heard, and they intently slam the door on us and refuse to get honest about a war on injured workers and the needed minimum federal oversight. I have to say that I had after they kicked me out of their live YouTube page, when I was really just sharing facts and truth that apparently they didn't want told to the others. I talked with one of her aides. I tried to call in to get on the show because they say call in and live and get your voice heard. Well, Randi Rhodes censors her phone calls. That's right. She censors her phone calls and does not let injured workers as they're crying out for help to get on and get heard. They don't want the truth to be told. And so, yeah, they censor the phone calls. I don't see how she can consider that democratic when you censor your phone calls, Randi Rhodes, and you exclude injured workers' voices from being heard, and the truth about the needed minimum federal oversight that the injured workers of America have been asking for the last 40 years. So it's egregious to me as a Democrat and a liberal for the last 20 years, I'm over 50 now, whatever, 20, 30 years, whatever it is, voting, that people like Randi Rhodes, who I had respect for over the last, last decade or so, as I was driving to work when I still had my job back then before I was hurt, I used to listen to people like Randi Rhodes and a lot of these other progressive journalists and Tom Hartman, and I can't remember the other lady off the top of my head right now, but nonetheless, I listen to these progressive voices, but yet today when I reach out to those same progressive voices to help get the voices heard of the injured workers, like the 400 injured workers in our state who are not being heard, to get their voices heard, these people don't want to do that. And I have shown how uphill media journalists come right out and tell us. Progressive uphill media out of Portland, Oregon, their journalists come right out volunteers, journalists, whatever they want to call them, they come right out and tell us, well, gee, our progressive candidates like Tyler Vega, who says he's a Bernie-crat and drives the Bernie-crat van around. Anyways, they all did not want to help us injured workers. And so the injured workers who are following me and are trying to see that whether they agree with me or not, they are seeing that I reach out to my side to do what my side has asked us to do, and nobody wants to do that. And that is frustrating to the injured workers of America, no matter what side you're on. We need this minimum federal oversight. We've needed it no matter who's president. If it's a Bush or an Obama, it doesn't matter. Injured workers have needed this minimum federal oversight for 40 years, and so for both sides to, at this point, block the injured workers' voices from being heard as we scream out and cry out for help, I find that as egregious. And then when you do get our voices heard, it's like at Hanford, say, or at Amazon, it's only to spin the narrative and have it focused one way and away from the needed minimum federal oversight. So it's egregious at this point when people like Randi Rhodes, who claim to be for democracy, and getting the people's voices heard, intently censors her own people, her own call-in show, so as she can control the narrative and spin the narrative instead of allowing people to get their voices heard, whether we're Republicans or Democrats or independents. Randi Rhodes should be allowing people to get their voices heard, not censor us, so that she can control the narrative and not allow a truth to get out about our own liberal side, aiding the conservative right at the top to wage war on the people on the bottom through our work comp affairs. And when injured workers are driven crazy and insane, instead of just giving their band-aids out the gate, then there's something wrong with that Randi Rhodes. And when Randi Rhodes is more concerned about state work comp rates in the state of Florida than she is about the injured workers of America and the injured workers in Washington and the injured workers in Alabama and the injured workers in Georgia and the injured workers in New York, then there is something wrong with you, Randi Rhodes. Because when I have come to you and begged of you as an injured worker here in America to step up and represent us and talk about the minimum federal oversight, but you intently choose not to, then you're harming us. And we can't go fight the right if the left don't step up and help us fight. So much for Randi Rhodes. And I have also sent her several emails, and her gentleman that I was talking to her on the telephone that was censoring me said, send into information Randi Rhodes or whatever your information. I said, fine, I will. So I have shared with her all my videos, not all my videos, but a select few of my videos that very clearly show that the Democrats here in the state of Washington were trying to spin a narrative on Latino Legislative Day against the truth that the harm was being done to 400 injured farm workers, to tell us that it was not happening, when it truly is. And so when we've got Senator Ortiz Self and the Governor Habib and whoever else was there that day, my own mental health team, all going to try telling us how to get our voices heard by our lawmakers, but none of them wanted to tell the truth about the harm done to my mental health and how work comp harmed my mental health, then there is something wrong with this whole picture and this whole liberal left, when none of you can step up and represent the injured workers of America with the needed minimum federal oversight that Senator Sanders, Patty Murray, and Tom Perez told us on the bottom we need. So Randi Rhodes, it's you people at the top in your cushy little journalist jobs that can't get honest about a war on all of us, no matter who is waging it. It doesn't matter at this time. The solution to remedying this war is a minimum federal oversight that Miss Randi Rhodes chooses to not get honest about, or Tom Hartman acts all clueless about. And gee, he wishes you injured workers make it. He was it Tom Hartman's clueless Tom Hartman, I call him. And he says, gee, Darren, I hope you make it through it. So Tom Hartman and Randi Rhodes say, gee, injured workers of America, we hope you make it through it. Have a good day.